Thank you for joining me. This is the Spiritual Princess, and I felt compelled to do a video regarding paranormal investigating, especially since it's that time of year where everybody is getting into spooky haunted houses and, decorating for Halloween. And so this is what the video is going to be about today. I will name it Paranormal Investigating 101. The first thing my guide said when I sat down to talk to them about the average person going ghost hunting or paranormal investigating, the first thing they told me is, we do not recommend the average person to go poking around haunted locations for fun. And when they're talking about the average person, they mean people who don't have abilities or who understand how protection from spirit beings actually work. The average person usually does not have proper protection, so depending on the location, it can be very dangerous. And one thing I see a lot on either videos on YouTube or people's videos on TV, too many people are going alone. And you should never, ever go looking in haunted locations by yourself. If you encounter something evil or a spirit that has learned how to harm the living, it can actually be deadly. Some very negative spirits can stop someone's heart unexpectedly. I don't know if anybody saw the episode Jack Osborne, who has been in the paranormal world for a long time, but he has a new show. Okay, so I just found the information on the show I was talking about. It was Jack Osborne's Night of Terror, and it premiered October 1st on the Travel Channel. And that is the one where Sharon nearly died. They don't know if it was a demonic attack. The doctors couldn't find anything wrong with her. They showed the doctor, because they said maybe she fainted, but they showed the doctor the video, and the doctor said he'd never seen anything like it. So I think it was an evil spirit trying to harm her and potentially kill her. So I just wanted to pass that along, the name of the show, in case anybody wants to see it. They had a medium come in. It was Chip Coffee. And he was uncomfortable in this place. It was a hotel. Well, later in the episode, Jack Osborne leaves Sharon in a room by herself. There was a cameraman in there, but that was it. She was pretty much by herself. And she almost died. They don't know what happened. All of a sudden, she's asking questions to spirit, and the next thing you know, her head went back, she went limp, and they came in and couldn't get her to respond, and Jack Osborne had to do CPR on her because he said her heart stopped a couple of times before the ambulance got there. So after watching that, I was just shocked and in horror that he actually put his mom through that. I don't think he ever did it intentionally, of course. But that's when I stopped to talk to my guides and angels about it. And that's when they said, spirits, negative, evil, dark spirits can stop somebody's heart unexpectedly, especially if someone is alone. They can die. So let's pretend that was just Sharon Osborne by herself. She would have died. So, it can be very dangerous. A negative spirit can follow someone. They can follow you back to your home. They can wreak havoc for everybody in your home. Or they can cause people to have car accidents. If their intent is to harm you, they will try to kill the living. So it's too dangerous for the average person to go looking for that just to get a video or some attention. It may be fine for a while, but it only takes once, and it could be your last. You know, if that's the risk you want to take, so be it. For somebody who understands how to properly protect themselves, investigating can be okay. But still, you should never ever go alone, because evil spirits will try to harm even a protected person. All of the protection is based on how strong a person's belief system is regarding God, angels, archangels, etc. So just because a person thinks they're protected, they might not have enough, to keep them 100% safe. So they still need to proceed with caution. Sorry, that was my Ring doorbell. So to keep yourself 100% safe, you still need to proceed with caution and never go alone, and have a plan on what to do if something does go wrong. For a medium like myself, the protection is normally very high because I do have to work with God, angels, guides, archangels. I mean, the highest vibrational beings that I could actually work with. So somebody like a medium has very high protection and able to do this work. Mediums are not amateurs in ghost hunting by any means. And even then, the medium has to know how to handle encounters with evil, angry, negative spirit beings. But if this is still something you want to explore, here are my suggestions. You can take it or leave it, but I would first start with holy water. I would get holy water in a spray bottle, and be sure to spray your entire body, including your head, neck, and everyone else who goes with you needs to be sprayed down with holy water. Okay, that's first and foremost for extra protection. And ask that your guides, angels, and loved ones walk with you during an investigation. And I would also say, I seal myself with God's holy bubble of protected light, day and night. And make sure everybody in the group is saying this as well. Again, just make sure you're asking for extra protection. When entering a haunted location, number one is to be very respectful of the spirits that might call that home. Tell them upon entering you are not there to be disrespectful, and state your intentions. I mean, they'll know your intentions, but it's better if you state your intentions. If you have a recorder for EVPs, which are called electronic voice phenomenon, ask one question at a time. Be sure you're pausing so the spirit can answer. I see too many of these shows where there's EVPs going on and they just ask one question after the other. So sometimes I've seen a professional investigator ask 5 questions without taking a breath. And it's like, no, you need to stop and let that spirit answer the first question. And it's best to be very quiet. When you walk into a location, if you are recording audio, it's best to be extremely quiet. Not a lot of people shuffling around, walking around. Unless you're asking questions, it should be pretty quiet. When I go, I try to be motionless for a time to see if I can hear footsteps or disembodied voices. Sometimes you'll hear singing, laughing, crying, humming, music. But if you're walking around and talking and being loud, it's very hard to catch those things. And again, it's not good to have so many people with you. It's just going to be too much noise. And when you're listening back to a recorder or a video, it's hard to decipher because maybe somebody in the other room was talking. And now, one thing, if you ask a spirit to make themselves known or come sit with you, and then the spirit actually pulls out a chair in front of you, please don't go running and screaming. That is so annoying when I watch these shows and people are like, make yourself known, come sit with me. And then something happens and they freak out and run and scream. I get it. It's startling if you've not been around this like I have. But remember, you asked that spirit to come sit with you, to come make itself known. You should not be running and screaming. You need to have composure. Another huge pet peeve of mine is if there are spirits on your EVPs asking for help and you can't help them, you need to tell them either out loud or in your head that you will find someone who can help, like a medium. And at least try to find somebody who would be willing to cross those spirits over that have asked for help. Because it's very cruel to just ignore their plea for help. And some mediums, like me, we don't even need to be physically there in order to cross them over. So you can ask or reach out to some mediums to see if they can open a light at that location from their home. And at least you've done what you can to, help the spirits out. At the end of the investigation, you should always be sure to tell all spirits they are not allowed to follow you home. And be sure everyone says that. You need to be sure that the spirit understands you will no longer try to communicate with them once you leave. Because sometimes that's their cue to go, this person talks to me, so I'm going to follow them home. And there's a big warning. Just because you tell them not to follow you doesn't mean they will listen. Now, generally, most of the time, they will listen as long as they're not evil or negative. You can tell your guides and angels to make sure the uninvited spirits don't come home with you. And then allow your guides, angels, loved ones to battle that. But they won't do it unless you ask. So those are my suggestions if you want to go investigating or poking around some haunted locations in your area. But please take it seriously and take the precautions. Because I just hate watching these videos where, like that one with Jack Osbourne where his mother nearly died. That just broke my heart because it could have been avoided. So I don't want anyone to be harmed. You need to know the truth about ghost hunting. It's not just something you can do for fun. Just like when people play with Ouija boards and think it's just fun for the night. Well, you are opening a door that's going to be very difficult to close, and that's how people can be hurt by inviting low-level spirits from a Ouija board as well, which I have another video on that. And happy ghost hunting for those who are brave enough to try. Be careful, be safe. Again, take care, love and light.